It's been revealed that former President Donald Trump knowingly put a lot of people at risk during his campaign. Now, this is, of course, talking about COVID-19. Now, according to his former chief of staff, he actually had exposed Gold Star families, wealthy donors at a Minnesota fundraiser, not that I care about Republican donors, and then Democratic nominee Joe Biden, White House staff, the crews of Air Force One, White House reporters, and others to the virus. Wow. Okay, fun. So now he admitted, Trump did, to having COVID on October 2nd. So now that's just 24 hours after a campaign rally in Minnesota and after coming in contact with multiple people. So, damn. Now we find out now that's actually almost 6 days after September 26th, when he had originally tested positive for COVID. Now, he gets tested, he's positive, he goes out and he holds a reception for families of fallen service members. It's the Gold Star families, right? Yes, he also hosted a gathering of business leaders at the White House, attended a debate with Joe Biden where he had lied about his test. He actually didn't take a test there. Said, oh, I don't have time for a test. Yeah, I can't do it. And then visited reporters on Air Force One and interacted with multiple flight crews on both Marine helicopters and Air Force planes. So he is this super spreader. A lot of people. Now, later on, he takes a second test and he says, well, that's negative. Well, it was a negative test. The first one must have been wrong. Well, wait, what if the second one was wrong? Look, the test at that time, to be fair, not entirely reliable, but nonetheless, he took the first one. It was a positive test. He took a second one. It was a negative. And he can say, well, look, the first test was wrong. I'm fine. There's no problem here. I didn't give anybody COVID. In fact, if anybody gave anybody COVID, it was somebody gave me COVID. Oh, we'll get to that. Because not more than a week later, he actually did have COVID and admitted it. So, interesting. But here's the thing. He doesn't care. He didn't care how many people he infected. No. And see, here's the thing. If there was anything that got in his way of debating Sleepy Joe or, him getting in front of his fans, if anything stopped that, well then, no, we're just gonna lie about it, and we're gonna, continue as planned. So let's go. Let's do the things. Let's knowingly, infect people around or be around people, even though I might have the virus. Now, Alyssa Farah Griffin, who was Trump's former communications director, who left the White House over the big lie, said this: the whole episode demonstrates a total disregard for public health and the well-being of others. Shocker, right? It's hard to believe that everyone involved or anyone involved thought it was okay. And she's referred to him, of course, not telling anyone about his positive COVID test. Now, here's the thing. If you test positive for COVID, you're supposed to quarantine out of an abundance of caution to protect the people around you, right? That's what a normal person would do. That's what a regular human would do. Like, oh, wow, I have this positive COVID test. Gee, I guess I'm going to have to suspend my campaign for a short time, and not do these debates. I'll do them later. And of course, what happened? Well, he didn't do that because he's not a good human being. He's not a decent person. And he decided, I don't care about anyone else. I just don't give a shit. So now here's the thing. I understand that, okay, tests were not super accurate. I get it. At that time, they were not. That false positive, again, could have been a false positive, but that negative could have been a false negative as well. That's why you have to be sure. That's why you have to take some time, do multiple tests, take a couple of days to make sure that you are not spreading this virus to other people around you. And even if the test was right and he wasn't positive, understand that his cavalier attitude and lack of actually taking this seriously did eventually lead him, had he not, already had COVID, well, he might have actually, if that's true, and it was negative, well, then his attitude still made him possibly contracted from someone else, which he then proceeded to lie about. Okay? So, and then, by the way, he goes and blames other people. In fact, this is what he said the very day of his positive test about meeting with the Gold Star families. Well, they come within an inch of my face sometimes. They want to hug me, and they want to kiss me, and they do. And frankly, I'm not telling them to back up. I'm not doing it. But obviously, it's a dangerous thing, I guess, if you go by the COVID thing. None of that made sense. That's word salad. And also proves that he's just a sociopath. It's really amazing. But now he's getting a lot of people who have found out about this. And this is, again, thanks to Mark Meadows' book. A lot of people who didn't know this at the time were like, oh my God, you might have given me COVID. Now, here's one, Fred Wellman. So Fred Wellman, he's a retired Army helicopter pilot. And he talked to HuffPost and he said this: to find out now that he went to the event knowing he had tested positive for COVID and refused to wear a mask or allow the guests to wear them shows the absolute depth of his moral depravity and lack of any respect for anyone or anything but how he looks. So now that's interesting because, again, it wasn't just the fact that he had hidden his test. It's the fact that not only that he would also flout all the safety measures. There was, I believe, a Rose Garden celebration or gathering or something like that where the press, look, COVID requirements had chairs 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart, right? And he's like, no, bring them together. Bring them together. Why? Why would you? Why? Don't wear a mask. Oh, Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, he's wearing the biggest mask you've ever seen. Gigantic, tremendous mask. No. Ridiculous. Now, here's more, Wellman said. I didn't think I could think less of Donald Trump, but to find out he knowingly and willfully exposed the children and elderly family members of our fallen service members to COVID for pictures just shows how much more deeply immoral and broken he is than we ever imagined. He cares for no one but himself. Now, a supervisor to many staffers, also added their outrage. Quote, I had staff who were pregnant, a cancer survivor, and half the West Wing was 65 and over. It's unfathomable the risk they put so many people at, including Chris Christie, who was dangerously ill. Now, the official only spoke on the condition of anonymity. But it's interesting that he brings up Chris Christie. Chris Christie was helping Donald Trump prep for debates with Joe Biden. I don't necessarily see why. Again, I mean, Donald Trump doesn't prepare for anything, so he probably didn't even pay attention. But Chris Christie was there, and Chris Christie ended up getting COVID. Gee, I wonder what happened. Oh, right. Donald Trump gave Chris Christie COVID. That's what happened. Now, here's the thing about that that's funny about this, okay? Chris Christie, and I know, it's like, oh, Chris Christie almost died. What's funny about that? It's the fact that Chris Christie is such an ass kisser that even though literally almost got Chris Christie killed, he says, I'll still back you in 2024. Even though you should probably stop talking about the election fraud because it looks really, really bad for us. Well, but you should still, if you, run in 2024, Chris Christie, I will definitely back you. Again, this is a pretty serious issue. COVID is. It is a serious issue. And unfortunately, we had a leader, we had a president of the United States, as well as a political party that still does not take this as seriously as they should. I'm not saying everybody freak out and go into doom mode, right? But just to take the right kind of precautions to protect yourselves and other people. It seems like super common sense. Except unfortunately, as we've seen, common sense ain't so common. But as far as Trump, again, I said it before. He's a sociopath, absolutely gross, getting people sick without a care in the world. And yet there's people, millions of people, who look up to this guy and think, that's my guy. Nailed it. The fact that you don't give a shit about other people, well, you hate the same people I hate. And I just happen to hate most of America. I cannot overstate how just absolutely fucked that is. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.